Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and welcome to our show. By our show, I mean mine and Mike's. Hello, Mike.
Hey Dale, I'm a little frightened here this evening because Dale sends me one little video element that is an input for the show, and says, "Okay, there you go." And so I said, "Well, Dale, is this going to keep us going for a half hour, 40 minutes?" Oh yeah. Oh, don't worry about it. So I'm dying to see how that works out.
Now, everybody knows that watches this show on a regular basis, and why wouldn't you, that we have done many shows with no video inserts at all.
Yes, but we usually had some other material or at least a topic of discussion.
We have plenty of topics for discussion. However, as sometimes happens, because I go to the meetings while Mike follows social media, and that paid off big time the other day with the investigative report that he did about the cheaters at cuffs. Okay, cheating, cuffs, that's not news. But this new way that they've been cheating, that is news. And so I'm the one who went to the meetings today, so I'm going to tell you about them, and then Mike will have important things to say. Right, Mike? This is our deal.
Yes, and unless I don't, and then I'll just say, sure.
Well, that will depend on the audience that will be thinking important things to themselves.
Oh, okay. Yes, right. Exactly. And
we'll just pause
that input,
and we'll wait while the audience thinks those important things. Why don't you start
now?
Here we go. Yes. Let's give them that silence that they need. They're thinking of important things. Okay, that's enough thinking for Josephine County.
Wow. Jiminy's.
Okay, so one of the things that happened today is the commissioners broke the law again. That's not news, Dale. That's actually, you're quite right. That's not news. The commissioners broke the law again today. Okay, so
how did they break the law, Dale?
Well, let me tell you how they broke the law, Mike. I'm glad you asked that question. You see how well this is working? We're really a team. Okay, so a comedy team, comedy news. That's what we do. Or news that's comedic or whatever.
Did it have anything to do with generals and a discussion of
sorts? You're talking about this thing over my shoulder. It was a general discussion day. And as you can see over my shoulder, general discussion is these are North Korean generals having a discussion with their leader, Kim Jong mentally ill, whatever the guy's name is. And so it's a general discussion. Often we don't even tell you what this says, and you just sit there chortling with joy in your homes while we're doing all this. Yes, keeping you amused or not. Okay, as you can see, also chortling with joy in this video clip that we've shown you before. We're not going to show you again. Here's Keith Hick. He's laughing while Cheryl Walker is breaking the law, state law. She's solemn admonitions to us, do not break this law, because when you come into the Ambassador, you are not allowed during this time of year now, the ballots are out, and you voted. I hope that you voted. We did immediately, right, Mike?
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Yes. Oh, yes. And so she says you cannot do that in the Ambassador because you're within 100 feet of a place where you put the ballots, of a polling station, and it's next to the building, and the whole building is off limits, and etc. So you can't do that. And then she's just so desperate to pass this levy that she decided for the second year in a row to blatantly break the law. So go ahead, Mike.
I'm just wondering, I think the commissioners know the people that are in the room there with them, and they pretty much understand that, guess what? We're the people who show up to these things over and over and over again. Do you think that there's something happening politically that we haven't already made our minds up about? How is it that we are going to be influenced by what Cheryl Walker has to say about the levy?
Because it's also going out on cable TV.
Yes, and the people that are watching that are regulars too. I just
can't hold herself back from breaking the law. She's got to do something desperate to try to force this levy down our throats. Ooh, well, how does Dale feel about the levy? She's trying to do something, and and Keith is laughing while she's breaking the law. Are these the kind of commissioners you want? So I went again to Wally Hicks about her doing this. And I said, Wally, you're our elected legal counsel. We are putting our faith in you. I believe that we are. We want to believe that you're one of the good guys. We consider ourselves, at least I do, as one of the good guys. I don't know about Mike. Yeah, I think so.
That makes one of us.
Yes, that makes one of us. And we're counting on you to, well, what do you think I can do? Why is he asking me what I think he could do? Wally! Okay, he was our state rep. And he's a legal counsel, and he's a lawyer. What can I do? What can I do? Come on now. Okay, so, I mean, he's a nice enough guy, but Wally, really, what can I do? I say, you do what we do.
I'd be very interested to hear the conversations that happen behind closed doors between the commissioners and him on this topic.
I can tell you what it is. He says to them, that's against the law. And they say, well, we didn't do anything. He said, no, we know that you did it. That's against the law. Well, it's okay to do that. He says, no, that's against the law. And he's not going to bring it up more than 3 times with these characters. They know they're breaking the law.
Yeah.
And you might, if you bring it up with Cheryl, she might tell you another story about how patriotic her family is. That was one of her answers.
Yes.
She's given several answers to this. You were there, Mike, when she went into a long soliloquy about the patriotism of her family. What the heck does this have to do with your topic that you were breaking the law? So Wally he says, I don't know what to do. Wally, look, here's what we do. And maybe this is stupid, okay? And you can give us feedback by continuing to watch the show. Okay, that's the kind of feedback I like. You can say, well, that's not doing any good. True. But reporting it to the state is also not doing any good, although we'll continue to do that. Saying something about it is also not doing any good, but we'll continue doing that. Telling Wally about it is not doing any good, but we'll continue doing that. We'll continue doing that. And so where's the mystery? Okay, so what I said to him is, I think, whatever you don't need to take into account what I think, who am I? But I believe that every time we see these guys breaking the law, as good citizens, it's our responsibility to say, you were breaking the law. What's wrong with
that? Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with it. So you mentioned that they were breaking the law again today. What, pray tell, was that?
So they are required, and I'll explain to you why this is necessary, okay? Because some people, well, that just doesn't make any difference. They are required to give us advance notice about what they're going to talk about. Because if they're going to talk about the city annexing property, areas of the county, or if they're going to talk about giving away eminent domain rights to the city, or they're going to talk about liquidating another kitten, or they're going to talk about, giving away another, $100,000 to some pal of theirs. If they're going to talk about that, although you can't say anything, that's a little frustrating. You think it's frustrating sitting through 2 hours of these meetings. I can't say a word. All I can do is point the video camera at them and kind of smile, realizing that we're going to talk about this later. Because if they say, we won't let you talk, they used to, but they don't allow that anymore. Okay, now we're getting our sort of revenge, in that we can talk about it as long as we want to. This show could go on for 2 hours. In fact, I think it will. No, I'm kidding. But so they're required to tell us what they're going to be talking about. So Sandy Casanelli has death on this, because when they post something that says general discussion and there's no topics, this is illegal if there are topics, because they must tell us what they're talking about. Now, you can't count on the minutes being accurate because they change them. They change our history. You can't count on them making any sense because look who they are, okay? But you should be able to count on them at least telling you when they're going to be discussing one of your topics, something that in which you're interested. I sit there whether I'm interested in it or not. So they posted nothing. Now, I've talked with Wally about this. He says, no, they must do it. It's state law. They must tell you what they're talking about. It's part of transparency, the most transparent county in the world. So they did not put that up there. And so they did talk, and they're reading from a list, an agenda list. There's no agenda here, Mr. Matthews, and stop saying that there is. Now, next on the agenda is how there's nothing on the agenda. No, wait a minute. That's too cute by half. So they did that again. And one of the items, and this is, you're going to say probably, well, Dale, really, that's such a small thing, but they've never, ever, ever done this before. One of the items, they wanted to put it on tomorrow's agenda. As long as they do it before 5:30, because the meeting tomorrow night is going to happen at 5:30. It's the one time a month where it happens in the evening. As long as they do it before 5:30, that's posting it 24 hours ahead of time so that hey, they're talking about my subject. I think I'll go. And this time, make a comment. Well, for the very first time in the history of Josephine County that I've been looking at it for a decade now, 10 years, they put the item on the agenda, but they didn't tell anybody they were doing it. Not at all. Now, they can legally do that as long as it's within 24 hours, but they should tell us when something's going on to the agenda. But they'd really rather that you don't know about it, because then they don't have to field any questions.
So, is it normal for them to be putting things on Wednesday's agenda from a Tuesday meeting?
Yes, they can do that as long as it's 24 hours ahead of time. So if it's a Wednesday morning meeting, they've got to do it before 9 o'clock, which is not going to be possible from a Tuesday because they meet at 9. But if they meet at 9 and it's going to be a 5:30 meeting, no problem. I don't have any problem with it at all. Put all the lunkhead things on there that you want to, but you should tell us what's going on there. And they've never, ever done that before. So what does this presage? Presage? I think that's the right word. What does this say about the future? Now that they've done it once, you think they'll never do it again, Mike?
No. In fact, I probably expect that they'll do it next week.
Yeah. So
what is it? Do you know what it is that they were going to?
Yeah, this is wait, don't tell me. Don't tell me. This is an item where they're making
cat house plumbing.
No, and it's not penthouse plumbing either. No, this is oh, you're gonna love this. There is a group called the Workforce Development Group, and it's between Jim Fong's group that used to be called the Job Council, and now they decided to call it Workforce Development. See, they weren't getting anybody any jobs. So we go to meeting after meeting of their meetings and say, how many jobs have you helped create? Not how many have you hired, because you're not a hiring, but how many jobs? Well, they didn't want to answer that question. Well, we don't know. They're called the Job Council. And they have no statistics. Month after month after month, asking them again and again, they have no statistics. So what they did is they just started shutting the public out of the meetings because they didn't want to answer that question. But then they changed the name of the group.
They're a grant writing operation.
They're a grant collecting organization.
Yes, exactly.
And so now they're called Workforce Development, which means that they take these poor old dears that have 2 fingers on their left hand, and they teach them how to use a computer. So they're going to be computer programmers. Yes, of course. And we're teaching them now. Whether you learn anything or not is not the point. Whether you're going to get a job when you get out is not the point. They're developing a workforce. Ta-da! They earn the grants.
Yes.
They aren't answerable they're not the Job Council where they're answerable for creating jobs. No, that's too hard. Yes. Now, when you walk into the unemployment office, if you've been unfortunate enough to lose your job, you walk in there, you're required to go in, right? Well, every time you walk through the door, that's another ding for the Workforce Development Group. You walk through the door. Hey, which direction is Freddy's from here? Oh, that's across the street. Ding! You walk through the door. I've been required to be here, or I lose my ding. Or a pregnant woman walks in the door. Ding, ding.
Yes. Yes. No, I'm familiar, and these are people. I mean, where is the honor in that type of work? I just don't get it, because it's a complete scam, but it's a scam that the state is complicit with. I don't understand why government likes to get into all this. You know, they don't like actually doing functions which are necessary, and they do them non-wastefully and not with too many employees and all that kind of stuff. No, they never ever do that. They do stuff like this.
Well, that's why Jim Fung was so upset when we were asking him. I wasn't saying, oh, well, you're suggesting that we hire the people. No, I'm not suggesting that. What? I'm not stupid. I just play a stupid person on TV. No, that's not the thing. All we want to know is you're called the Job Council. How many jobs have you helped people get? Well, we're unprepared to answer that question at this time. I asked you 3 months in a row. How can you still be unprepared to answer that question?
I'm guessing that it's because they haven't actually, created any jobs.
Now, here's a place where even Simon here could connect the dots on this one. They've decided now that they're only going to allow one commissioner per county to be on their board when they have their board meetings. Now, what possible reason? What happens when there's two commissioners at a meeting?
Well, that's a quorum.
And
then it becomes a public meeting because they're talking about county business, and they have to then keep minutes, which would keep track of the things that were discussed between the commissioners and them.
Ding, ding.
Am I getting close?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Give that boy a Cupid doll. Exactly right.
Cupid doll.
Now they no longer have to be answerable to anybody, especially not anybody that might like to know how their money is being spent. Jim Fung.
Nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares about that. Why, it's just you policy geeks, and we don't care how our money is being spent. No, wait a minute. Maybe you sort of do. Well, as long as there's economic development. What economic development? Well, as long as people are being trained for jobs. Yeah, how is that working out? Well, maybe you do have a point there. Yeah, policy geeks win again. That's why we keep track of them. So I got a call the other day from somebody saying, I think people are getting tired of you holding their feet to the fire. Yeah, who's getting tired of us holding their feet to the fire? The people whose feet we're holding?
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty funny, actually.
Everywhere we go, people are praising us. Hey, thank you so much for holding them accountable. We hate it when you hold us accountable. Uh-huh. That's okay. That's just a side benefit of the work that you hate it. I'm happy to hear that. Please tell me that again. Do I look happy? Yes, I'm happy that you don't like that. We hate that when you do that, Mr. Matthews. Why, we're going to answer you in every other way but answering the question. So I went to Wally and I said, they're doing it again, Wally. No, first I walked in and I said, I like Wally. I want to like Wally. I want to trust Wally. I want to feel like this elected guy who replaced Steve Rich. Hey, I'd like to feel that he's on our side. But I went in and I saw him, and he maintains an open door policy. Cheryl Walker wants to wall that off so that you can't go see the guy. Because what she answered when I said, why did you break this law? Well, you're not supposed to be talking with Steve Rich. No, can't do that. You're not supposed to be talking with Wally Hicks. Really? That's your answer? I'm not supposed to be talking with Wally Hicks about such things? He's not allowed to give you advice. You know what? I'm asking him how to counter your illegal behaviors. You can't do that. That's against all the rules. That's against the rules, but you doing this is not against the rules? I have nothing to say about that. She won't even say that. Instead, she gives you an answer about what was one of the others. Let's see. Her family is patriotic. Oh, the children. When I think about the children, what has this got to do with my question? Why are you breaking the law? Well, the children, Oh,
yes. No, and that one was especially pathetic. She was basically talking about all the children that are bleeding out in the gutter, and that we don't care at all about these children. I just
and
thought,
then she starts kind of blubbering a little bit. The children. I just try to serve the children. Yeah, while you're breaking the damn law. I don't usually say damn. I'm all excited. And Mike says,
see, he's a Satan worshiper.
No, I'm following him.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, yeah, breaking the law. And so Wally I walked in and I said, you're going to like this visit. Really? That's a change. And I said, because this will probably be the last time I'm going to talk to you on this subject. Now he doesn't look so happy. And I said, because you have said there's really nothing that you're going to do. That was just a little bit of exaggeration, but not much. There's nothing you're going to do. And then I laid it on a little thick about how much faith we all have in him and how we anticipated that he would do his best to set the commissioners right. Doesn't mean he can tell them what to do. If they want to break the law, by gosh, cheaters cheat, liars lie, they're going to do it. But as our elected legal counsel, he could, every single time they break the law, he could tell them. Now, he's going to need to do that pretty much on a daily basis from what we can see. So that's what you do. We do it. Legal counsel does it. We're working as a team to make it so uncomfortable for these guys that Keith Eck doesn't want to run. And maybe Cheryl Walker. Now, Cheryl Walker's going to run. See, none of this makes any difference to Cheryl Walker. None. Zero. Zippo. She's going to run. So one thing that you need to know, and I'm going to change, I've started doing this recently. I'm going to change this so that you can see something about these two goons, okay? Tomorrow, 5:30, because of a new rule that the state legislature passed, goofy rule, you can now not talk during the weekly business session because it's within 100 feet of, you can do it at city council meetings because it's outside of 100 feet. I actually went out there with a tape measure. No, and I didn't go out and then turn around and come back like Art Harvey, who says we're morons, okay? We should not elect this guy again. Okay, so you cannot do that, except tomorrow you can. So those of you watching this show, all two of you, the thing is that you should keep in mind, if you want to come to tomorrow's weekly business session, it's the only one of them that's at 5:30, you can talk about the levy, pro or con. Because it's after 5 o'clock when the clerk's office closes. Now, that ballot drop box is still on the side of the building.
Yes, it is. That's weird.
And the last I checked, it's all the way there through midnight and the next morning. And go ahead.
And it's not locked during that time. No. You can go drop your ballot off there.
So what a stupid rune. Okay?
Yeah, it's a dumb rule.
You can come in at 5:30 and you can start talking for 3 full minutes. Your opinions about the levy. Come on by. All the cool kids will be there.
Yes.
Now, here's what Mike and I are going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a thing here.
Yes, it's quite a thing. Here's what Mike and I are going to do. We're going to do election night coverage. We may be talking about this more than once. We're going to do election night coverage on Tuesday night. Not tonight. Next Tuesday. And you can be sure we'll be talking about it the next day. I think so. And we're going to do live election night coverage. Now, what I found in the past is, if you listen to KJO, to Rotary Radio, there's a guy there that listens to what Art Harvey says, the clerk, when he comes out and tells you what the vote results are. And then he writes down some notes, and then he calls his station and he makes a report. It's not a live report. Well, it's recorded, okay? And it's what happened. We're going to be milliseconds ahead of KJO. Be still my heart, because we will be there right when Art Harvey comes out and starts making his announcement. And I'm going to hold up this. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, but we'll have more, because there's going to be analysis, and we're either going to be joking and laughing and drinking alcoholic beverages, or we'll be, crying in our beer, one of the two.
Like it is every night with us on this show. So right. We're going to be here just like this. We're going to be looking something like this, probably with smiles on our faces, and we'll be talking. There'll be clowns, there'll be balloons, there'll be alcohol spewing, and we're going to be talking. We'll be right across the street, and we'll be talking about this. But I will be live. I will be live right next to Art Harvey, putting a telephone in his face and having him speak, hopefully touching his nose, so that he can tell us what the results are. You will be the very first people to know, and you know how that's going to benefit you?
You don't need to get that close, just so
you know how that's going to benefit you, being the very first people? Well, it's not going to benefit you at all. I mean, because you're going to hear about it.
Then you can get on your horse. You can get on your horse and ride around town yelling the results out, you know?
Yeah, and don't yell the British are coming, because we were all British at that point, okay? The redcoats are coming. Or the lobsterbacks are coming. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. So we're going to do this. And we're going to be across the street, Republican headquarters. Now, here's another interesting story, and you need to know this. We'll be at Republican headquarters. Mike, are you a Republican?
No.
And neither am I. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
And up until this afternoon, when I got this call from Vivian.
Yeah, and I was right there. Yes.
Yes. And she says, well, there's this little problem with your registration. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
He really didn't. I didn't either.
I'm an independent. And she goes, well, no, really what you are is you're a member of the independent party. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I am someone not affiliated with any party.
That's what I thought about myself. Not affiliated. Yes.
It turns out if you write down independent on your voter registration, they hook you up with the independent party, which is kind of left-wingish Democrat.
No, not just kind of. Okay, so I'm talking with Art Robinson today. Yeah. And Art Robinson's feeling, because I don't know who these guys are. I didn't want to be part of that. I wanted to be non-affiliated, independent. Yes. I think I've even put a small I, okay, instead of a capital I. Really, it counts on with a capitalization? Apparently so, because we were both registered. You might be. We were both registered as in the independent party. Now, this is a county clerk, should not be a county clerk in my opinion, who's taking the information and he's putting us into a party without telling us that he's putting us into the party.
Yes.
And these guys, according to Art Robinson, the people that started the independent party were two lawyers, buddies of DeFazio, and somebody that's to the left of DeFazio. So the whole thing is being run by the left wing, I'm not making this up, of the Democrat Party.
Yeah,
really? Man. And Mike didn't know he was part of the left wing of the Democrat Party.
No, I didn't. For crying out loud, that's precise. I left the Republicans because they were going too far left. That was what the deal was. And now
Democrats left me because they were spending money. Well, you all know that, but they were in this town. They're laughable. They were not even running candidates. I mean, what kind of political party doesn't even run candidates? So I thought, see, this is a note to yourself. You need to find out what you are and what you are not, because similar to, maybe you know this about the Mormons. Okay, what's the relationship to Mormons? Marge, get over here. What's this guy talking about? The Mormons run. This is what they do. They run the biggest genealogical center in the world. Okay, and the headquarters is in Salt Lake City. You know, that's an interesting thing. Why did they do that? They don't have the biggest volleyball team in the world. Why do they run the biggest genealogical center in the world? What has that got to do with Mormonism? Because you may not know this. My mother, who died a couple of years ago, is now a Mormon, according to their records, because what they feel is that after you're gone, they're going to sign you up as an official Mormon. I'm not making this up. And so the reason they have to do this is no internet tale. This is straight from the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. They feel that after you're gone, you need to be a Mormon or you're not going to make it to their version of heaven. And so they do genealogical research about everybody. So you may not know this, but your dead ancestors, going all the way back to, I guess we all go back to Adam, they're all signed up as Mormons. And so there is a relationship. We're all now, those of us who thought we were independent, we're members of the left wing of the Democrat Party.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that Apparently I've been a left-wing Democrat for about 7 years now.
Oh.
And listen, that being the case, perhaps we could do this broadcast live from the Democratic Party headquarters.
There isn't any Democratic Party headquarters.
There isn't?
No.
I thought there was.
Well, at one time in the
they used to be on 7th Street there.
Yes, and they rented that, and then they decided they weren't going to do that anymore. So now,
I guess that's out the window.
The main purpose of doing, and we got permission, the main purpose of doing this at the Republican headquarters is right across the street from the courthouse.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So Mike's going to be in there holding. We're going to start at 8 o'clock. This is us starting at 8 o'clock. Okay. So we're going to start at 8 o'clock instead of 7 next Tuesday. Well, I know that's going to change.
Maybe we should start a few minutes before 8 o'clock.
Yeah. You tune on
because there's
a couple of minutes before, and I'm going to be across the street in the courthouse holding this thing up, touching the guy's nose with it, bending his nose out of shape, and
assault and battery.
Yes, and I will give you that would be a side benefit of the job. That will give you then the latest news, and then I'll come back to Republican headquarters. They're making a spot for us. They're happy to have us there. They're going to put flags up behind us. Why? It's going to look a lot like this. And then we'll be either there for the black balloons or the ecstatic celebration.
Yes.
So the other thing that you need to know is many people in this last election did not realize that their registration was no longer valid. What? What? Marge, he's doing it again. Okay. Registration, got an itch here. I'm Hitler. No, I'm not. Okay. That their registration had lapsed. What do you mean my registration has lapsed? That's impossible. I know that I'm registered. Yes, you are. You might be registered as a left-wing Democrat, but an independent party. But if you haven't voted, who are you? If you haven't voted in the last 2 presidential elections, almost certainly they have registered you as you're registered, but you're invalid.
Right.
Really. And your vote means literally nothing because they're going to throw it out.
Yeah, if they decide, it depends on who you're voting for, probably. Now, hey, listen, on a brief little aside, weren't you a little bit shocked when we were on Bill Meyer's show and that guy, I think his name was Brad or something like that, called up and he said, I got the ballot, I opened it up and I looked at it and I tore it in half and put it in the trash can. Wow. That was amazing to me. Who does that?
What a brave
Listen,
man.
I mean, if you don't know these other,
my father and guys he fought with, fought to make sure that we could vote for things. And this guy looks at it, and you know what he was upset about? Because only one person, I don't like that either, but only one person at a time was running for the school board.
Wow. You know what? Listen. I can guarantee he probably wouldn't have known their names and who they were if there was 2 people there. You know, and
I'm not happy about it either. I'm not happy about that kind of stuff. But brother, do you care about the levy? Anything at all about your property taxes, or if you're a renter, about your rent going up? Okay. And how do you feel about safety in our community? And do you trust the current county government? Well, he didn't sound like he trusted the current county government, but he actually took his ballot and he tore it in half and threw it in the garbage.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, honestly, Mike, this sounds terrible. I'd really rather they didn't vote.
Well, yes, I guess so. Somebody like that. The thing is that people think that, well, your vote doesn't count for anything. Oh, yes, it does. It counts for one of 2 possible directions that things are going to go. And if you don't give your input to it, then you're a writer, and listen, you are going to be affected by the direction that is taken there. So the idea that somehow not voting is better, wow.
I don't get it, bud. Okay, so those are your top headlines. This is what Wally Hicks says. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything. Wally. Okay. So that's one. Number two is we're going to be on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. All the cool kids will be there. Third thing is the commissioners continue to break the law. And as Keith Eck said, you know this quote by now, I know we're breaking the law and I don't care. He said it 3 times. Okay. And you need to check to see what party you're registered with. And don't forget that if you didn't vote in the last couple of elections, you need to call and talk with Art Harvey, okay, the county clerk. We understand now that the number of people who could vote, about 50,000, that typically about half of those vote. Well, half of those, the ones that vote, have already voted. So now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. And it goes double for women. Vote twice.
So yes. Yeah. And often, I guess we just started a new thing tonight. If you tune in at 7:30, you're going to learn everything. Dale's going to give you the 1, 2, 3 things that you need to take away from the program. And he's going to do that in about a minute. So then you don't have to watch any other part of the show. You just tune in at 7:30. Dale will give you here's what we learned, children. We learned.
No.
Vote.
Everybody that does presentations knows they know the rules. First, you tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. If you think it's important, do you think it's important that you're actually registered? You should check to see what party you're actually registered with.
Okay. Well, it makes me wonder, have they been counting my vote? What's going on?
Yeah, well, those people who thought they were registered, they wouldn't be counting your vote. And even if you think that you voted in the last 2 presidential elections, all that counts is, does Art Harvey, the county clerk, think that you voted?
Well, now let me ask you, and you may not know the answer to this, Dale, but
I don't know the answer to this.
Okay. Yes. If I continue to vote in every single election, what could go wrong with my voter registration?
At that point, is a really simple one. Some of us, as we get older, I'm talking about Mike, of course, our signatures get a little shakier than they were when we were 18. And if there's anything wrong with your signature at all, you would think that the county clerk, that the clerk's office would let you know. Apparently, they don't always do that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I went down there. This was a couple of years ago. I messed up, and I messed up somehow on the secrecy envelope and the signature on the outside or whatever.
It could be very
something
confusing.
I didn't do.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes, I know. It's really, really dumb. I think I didn't put the secrets. I think I just put the ballot in the other envelope and I sealed it without thinking. And then I saw the secrecy envelope and went, oh my gosh. So anyway, I hand delivered my ballot down there because there is no way I am not voting.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I'm going to sign this here. And then they validated my signature right there in front of me.
Right.
And, yes. So if you have any doubts about that, go down, sign your signature and say, hey, listen, does this match with your records here? Because this is what my signature looks like now.
Yes. And look, Art Harvey will say, I always notify everybody. Art, no, you don't. You've already said that you don't always do that, that there's a backlog sometimes, or you're getting around to it or whatever. And also, Art, we have caught you dead to rights in the county record and in our record of completely, absolutely lying to us. So I do not trust you anymore, Art Harvey. Art Harvey. And therefore, if you say, which he's probably going to say if he responds at all, well, we always do that. No, you don't. That's based on your record and on what you've also said. Everybody that talks with Art Harvey realizes that if you call him at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you're going to get 2 opposite answers. So go check for yourself. It's up to us now, you see. We've been talking about this a lot. The state is not going to help us. The sheriff is not coming to your house. Okay. The commissioners are blatantly breaking the law. There's nobody that can help us except for ourselves. So monitor your own situation. And Mike and I, we run a political talk show, and we didn't realize that we were registered in the wrong party. Okay, so we got one more thing for you tonight. Oh, no, we don't. Okay.
No, we don't.
We don't have one more thing for you tonight. But we're gonna have one more thing for you some other night. One of these nights we'll have something else for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really good at singing. And we will share it with you. But for now, is there any other thing that we need people to know, Mike Jones, before we sign off and they wave us a fond farewell?
No, except for the fact that we are, if you tune in at 7 next Tuesday night, we are not going to be there. It's going to be a little bit later, and it'll probably be around, somewhere between 7:45 and 8 o'clock on next Tuesday, because we are going to do live election night coverage.
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to tell them about it.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, join us there, and then we'll have all the cool kids will come up and tell us what they're thinking. And I told them that we would either have a big box of Kleenex or a big stash of drugs for them to either cry or enjoy themselves. Mike's supplying the drugs.
Yes. Yes, and I have, let's see here, I have some proton pump inhibitors for everybody.
Proton pump inhibitors. Yes, my proton pump has been pumping too hard, so I need an inhibitor on it.
No, and that's exactly what it does. It's for people who have too much acid in their stomach.
Oh, acid. Well, I got too many neutrons. As you can tell from my attitude about things, I'm neutral. No, I'm negative. Too many protons. Pro-Levy pumpers inhibitors. Yes, that I understand.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
We'll keep you informed about who's cheating about what. You can count on us here. We will do that, and then you will be informed public that nobody can do anything about it anyway. Woohoo!